Now let's have a look at external camera setup and usage. Let's say you have a document camera. And so right here we have a document camera. Over here we have a webcam. So the first thing is you're plugging it in with USB. And that's really important because in a lot of schools, people have document cameras and they have an HDMI cable and they're plugging that in directly to either the wall panel or to their projector. And that's an input on the projector, but that bypasses your computer. So then all the students at home on Zoom would not be able to see what you have on your document camera. So it's important that you understand that you're plugging in any of those external devices like dot cams and webcams with USB to your computer. When you plug it in on a Windows computer, it usually installs a driver, usually does it automatically. Once it is installed, there are many options. This first option is when you're using Zoom. Any camera you have attached to your computer via USB, you go to your camera and click on this up arrow, and they will show up here on this list. It would show up right here. I would just check that, and that would become the active camera for Zoom. Now, thinking around those other options with the document camera, there's really three ways to use a document camera over your video conference. So why would you use a document camera? Well, you might not want to do something on the computer. You might want to do something physically on a whiteboard, or you might want to model something. You might be drawing something. You might be diagramming. You might prefer to write with paper on a clipboard, whatever it may be. So you could point it up towards you or your whiteboard, or you're a PE teacher and you want to show some physical activity. You've got a nice camera rather than using the one on the computer. Or, of course, you can point it down. It's a document camera. So you can point down and model or draw or do whatever it is you're going to do. If that's the case and you wanted to do that, option one is the one I already showed you. Use Zoom and just select your camera input. The second option is also in Zoom, but at this time you're going to click share screen and you're going to go over to advanced and choose content from second camera. And so that really is a great option because when you compare these two options, they both could work the same way, except for one problem. If you make your camera your primary input, your students still have to click on presenter view instead of gallery view in order to make your screen or your camera large on their screen. So that gives the students control over how they want to see it, but they're only going to see a tiny little thumbnail of your screen if you're using this method and they have it in gallery view. So if you want to force what you're showing on your camera to be their full screen, you want to do share screen and then do content from second camera. And again, this is just using Zoom still, so we're not introducing any additional software, but that works really well and it's simple. Then down here, we have another option. Your document camera might have or usually has software that can be installed, either Mac or Windows version, or in some cases, there's a Chrome app that can install. The Chrome apps typically can be installed by you without any intervention from ITD at all. They're the easiest and simplest to manage, but they're also usually a little lighter software, so they don't have all the features usually. So basically the idea there is you have that software, and that software, like over here in this example, this is an example of this camera is made by this company, IPEVO, and this is the software by IPEVO that comes with it called Visualizer. So you would basically launch your software and your camera turns on and you can see and control a whole bunch of different things. And you have all these different features that you can use with the document camera. And then you can share your screen and choose that application to share. And that becomes the full screen that the students see, and you have all kinds of controls. Or you can, when you share, you can choose desktop 2, which would be that projector desktop, and you can drag this over to that screen, make it whatever size you want. You can have some other stuff open because there might be the case where maybe you have, let's see, I'm gonna have Google Classroom here, I'm gonna have my document camera here, and I'm gonna have the assignment they're working on here. And you might want to have all three of those shown on your screen that's projected in the classroom so all the students in the classroom can see it and all the students at home on Zoom can see it. And that's what's shared. And then that way you can then go over to your doc cam and model something. It's the same thing basically with a web camera. You have a web camera built into your laptop, but this gives you one that you plug in some more flexibility. It's on a cable and it can rotate possibly. So it's easier for you to position it and point it towards what you want to point it towards. You could theoretically make it kind of like a document camera where you mount it on something and point it down, but you can also easily point it up towards you doing an activity or a whiteboard or something like that. With using that content from second camera option, You're still using your built-in webcam to show your face if you're sitting at your laptop, and this camera to point to something else that you're showing. So it gives you more options and more flexibility. You theoretically could also install that software that I mentioned, the Chrome app version even, and connect to this camera as well. Consider how you can use document cameras and web cameras in your instruction.